Hello and welcome back to a new Rage Gaming video. My name is Hollow and today I'm making a more general MMO news video for my first time. There's been lots of little updates with the multiple major MMOs that we've been watching in dev or coming to the West soon or just being worked on, but it's not enough for a dedicated video alone. So I thought it might be a nice idea to quickly touch on these different MMOs and give you some good info about them, about what's happening with them right now and maybe what's coming next. So let's just jump in and get started with our first MMO of the video and my personal favorite, Blue Protocol. As you may know, Blue Protocol is an upcoming MMORPG that I've made lots of videos about. It's got anime-styled visuals with action combat and a pretty unique summoning system built into the core of every class. The world itself is very pretty with lots to find and explore, not to mention it also has its dedicated story that I was totally confused and lost in when I was playing the Japanese beta because hey, I don't understand Japanese. The game's in development by Bandai Namco, which has brought many games to the West in a very successful way, and this game should be no exception as it is confirmed coming to the West too. Currently though, Blue Protocol is unplayable, having only just put out one beta test that, as I mentioned, I did play and had a really good time and really enjoyed myself. The devs took about 2 months to come back to us after this beta with their addressal of the huge amount of feedback they received, and to say the least, they did not skimp out on the details here. The post was colossal and they addressed all kinds of concerns, be they big or small, and took everything seriously. It was a big credit to the team considering how much they discussed and openly stated their plans to deal with whatever issue they were greeted with. Now after this they did go a little dark on us for a bit, but came back with an announcement while we were wondering when the next beta might be. They explained that they're going into development mode so that they can properly implement the changes and updates from the feedback that they got and continue to actually finish the game itself. Though we were also promised important updates from time to time, this meant that we couldn't really expect much from them for a while, and sadly that meant I probably won't be making any videos for a bit. That's completely understandable, however, the game needs finishing and they have a lot to work on, even if I did personally love the game and would have loved to play it in another beta sometime this year. I love the way they've been handling the game, from the PR to the content reveals, the serious addressal of the feedback like that, and letting us know what they're doing instead of just going silent on us. I feel like I can actually trust these guys. And in regards to the types of updates that they're planning to give us, well, we've already had a couple of those. Now, one complaint with the game was the lack of character diversity due to the limited customization options during the beta, and they promised to greatly improve that, and it looks like they're already working on that. In just a couple tweets, they showed off more options for the eyes and eyebrows of every character and letting you adjust the angles to allow for much greater expression on your character. It's a small change but an impactful one, and it's honestly quite nice to see such a simple update to let us know what they're currently working on. We were also promised way more clothing and color options for the characters to go alongside this, which were heavily restricted to like 2 or even 3 in the beta, so I certainly think we can expect some cool stuff from that in the future too. But here's hoping their development is going well and we'll hear some news soon. Now let's move on to the second MMO for this news video, and I think it better be New World. This is of course Amazon Games' upcoming MMORPG with its segmented territory-based world and its Souls-inspired combat with a hope for playstyles that are more hybrid in nature. Sadly, this game has been delayed multiple times and will be waiting until spring next year before its planned release. But we did just get to see the end of the August preview event to give those who pre-ordered the game a chance to actually play it. Importantly, this was named a preview event and not a beta, which sounds more like a demo to me, you know, something that's more finished, that's just playable. But we do know that they have a lot of major changes to make, so maybe a real beta will still come sometime before spring next year. In regards to this preview event though, there has been a lot of negativity around the state of the game and the delays for good reason. The sheer amount of angry Reddit posts I've looked at now, it just makes me laugh. But I do strangely think people have come away from this preview event in a positive manner, myself included. Though I personally have made a video about the different feedbacks that I think are very important and need changes, I do think a lot of the concepts shown in the preview event worked a lot better than I was expecting and only need mostly minor tweaks to make it more satisfying and fun. Before this preview event, I felt super unsure about the game, and now I feel a little bit of hope again. It was a fun event showing the potential of the game that, hey, does have flaws and needs working on, but has a lot of potential. And they're planning to do exactly that, right? Work on those flaws over the next year. They just need the time and they've taken it, and I think that's good for the long term. Mostly I was happily surprised by just how nice the world looks and feels. Visually it's incredible. It's just just a question of the long-term gameplay, and if this game stands a real chance once we get over the honeymoon phase of, hey, we're playing a new MMO in a new world and that's fun. For news though, we had this update post from the team at the end of the preview event talking about their experience and what their hopes were and what they've learned from it. Most importantly, they aim to add more mid and end game content while adding a lot of stuff that's, quote, just fun, so that's good to hear. Specific examples were more game modes, more landmass, better AI variety, which was seriously lacking, more weapon types, that's a surprise, and better quest variety, which was a big part of my feedback video too. Surprise, surprise though, here's some news. Their next phase of testing will be in only 2 months, sometime in November, to give us a chance to help test the changes that they make from this original preview. That is so fast. So it looks like we'll be seeing and hearing a lot more from New World, much faster than I thought we would. Let's now talk about TERA though, which recently had some bad news and then was followed by something worse somehow. TERA launched quite some time ago now, back in 2011 in fact, and delivered what was, at the time, some of the best action combat I've ever played in an MMORPG, and I loved it. The classes and how they worked, I remember at the time I was blown away by the visuals too, the crazy weapons, the animations of the abilities. But despite these good things, I fell out of love with the game pretty quickly as I continued to level in that generic setting and felt that the good parts of the game were sadly outweighed by the bad. Now, years and years later, I was planning to go back and see how TERA has changed and what my current thoughts on the game might be, only for En Masse Entertainment, the publisher for TERA, to announce that they're shutting down basically the same week. It hurt. With that, they're handing over the reins to someone new, and that left me wondering who will have charge of TERA next, and will they make changes that give this dying game a chance again? Closers, the other game published by En Masse, that is still going, was picked up by Nadic, the developers of Closers itself. That game has 2 major updates still ongoing, and the game seems like it will survive this transition. Meanwhile, TERA, we can only speculate as who will be in charge next, be it Bluehole, or perhaps even Gameforge. But while we're waiting for answers on that, we can only look at TERA, Endless War, and feel worried. It's a mobile strategy game with a TERA skin slapped on it and had a recent new trailer. I think it's releasing in November. It's not particularly popular as a game, and it's not surprising considering how generic it looks. This one will have come in the works well before En Masse began its shutdown though, so we can only hope whoever gets TERA next has no interest in this type of mobile game stuff for the future of the IP. Next up though, it's time we talked about Lost Ark. This Korean-made MMORPG is a hack and slash action game that we've been following for years and been talking about a lot on the channel. It's a huge game that's been out in Korea for a while now and also released in other major regions like Japan, China and Russia even too. It is a fully fleshed MMO. There's tons of mechanics and playstyles in the game compared to just the absolutely incredible combat, whether it's the mechanics of it or the visuals of it. There's things like life skills, player housing, ship battling, major endgame PvP and PvE, and the content updates that recently were announced with Season 2, starting this month with 2 new classes coming with it. Right now the game is sort of entering its new season and just had a bunch of trailers dropped to showcase what's coming next and how that's going to work. And it seems like their focus with the next few months is to add more social elements to the game to make it feel more like an active world and bring players together. They're planning 7 patches to release between now until the end of October, which also introduces the new Reaper class, which is the newest assassin subclass, in late September. We'll be seeing better features for guilds with the guild territories, which lets guilds create a guild house, saying guilds a lot, and also other structures on their own island. This will be slammed with useful mechanics like the crafting shed, quest bounties, traders who deal unique items. It's basically incentivizing people to work together, come together, and build up these islands, which is great. They also plan visual overhauls to old areas, which personally I thought looked good in the first place, but some of these changes do look really good to be fair. But thing is, I'm sure a lot of us don't care about what's new in the game when we can't even play it here in the West, unless say we use a VPN and jump on a Russian server, which is why I'm very happy to say that recently it was confirmed for the West at last. It's funny that we were talking about New World in this video, a game also under Amazon, because Smilegate chose to work with Amazon Games to bring Lost Ark to the West, and I'm very happy about that despite Amazon Games' recent problems with both Crucible and New World. They're a massive company with the resources to make a lot happen, right? So to see them step into more of a publishing position and bring a game to their region rather than, say, try to develop one, I think that makes a lot of sense and something that might work better for them. So I think this could be a really good fit, and I hope they do a good job without making us wait too long. They said they want Lost Ark in the West by 2021, but I'm pretty sure that means fiscal year, aka maybe early 2021, not late 2020. And I think absolute worst case, this would mean late 2021. But after all these years, I'd still take that. When we do have some actual information on that, hopefully we'll be able to talk about it here on the channel. But finally, for our last news about MMOs, it's time to talk about World of Warcraft, which has its newest expansion with a surprisingly close launch just announced. It's happening super soon, literally next month on October the 27th. We're going to be diving into the realm of the dead and meeting people like the Jailer, hunting Sylvanas, and from the looks of the recent Afterlives series, meeting big characters from the lore who died many years ago, like Uther the Lightbringer and Draka, the Mother of Frau. The Afterlives series so far has been really good. You should absolutely watch those videos, but basically, Uther seems like he's going to be a very changed man, and Draka has formed a new life in death too. Shadowlands sets up the world and story for a lot of exciting possibilities. Instead of doing some awkward time-traveling BS like in Warlords of Draenor, we're just going into the land of the dead, which gives us a chance to encounter massive characters like those two, so we can see where these key characters ended up after they were judged in the afterlife. Are we going to see Garrosh for a third time? I actually want to, just because it would be so funny. But anyway, on the other hand, the real question is, will Shadowlands actually address the issues in the game currently? Will they be able to create a satisfying game loop for the endgame players instead of that dreaded Azerite system? Is this too soon after the beta, or did they learn enough from the BFA beta that, hey, maybe they actually need to address feedback? I guess time will tell. Rage recently linked me a post all about how they're reverting that awful global cooldown change from many abilities, which is a good sign. Where BFA overpruned the game, Shadowlands promises to add a lot more class impact and bring back that variety like Legion. And that's great, but I actually really hope they can do more than just walk back bad choices and improve and change the game and add to it with new mechanics planned, like, say, the Tower of Torghast, which, yeah, looks pretty cool. Whatever your thoughts are about WoW, it certainly has had a long history of ups and downs, but remains the most played and populated MMO of 2020. Shadowlands is only going to increase its numbers and hopefully put the game in a good state again. I'll always have a good time with a new WoW expansion. It always provides at least like 1 to 2 months of good fun, especially with friends. So here's hoping that it can be a lot more than just that though. But there you have it, all the current news about 5 of the major MMOs I'm looking at right now. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on these games, but I know it's a lot to ask. Maybe specifically I should ask you, what do you guys think about New World after its preview event? Do you think it's in a good state, or it's got promise? And do you think TERA has a chance in the future? If you like this format for a video, please hit like so I know it's something I should consider trying again. This was something a bit different for me, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time.